Hello, welcome in. Welcome in. Do you notice? It seems like everyone's saying that lately when you go into an establishment. And when you say thank you, instead of saying you're welcome, they say, of course. I don't know. It's not just here where we moved. It's like, welcome in. Okay, thank you. Of course. I don't know where I was going with that. Today we're talking about UFO and spinning action. I got a motor, 12-volt DC gear reduction motor. Got a sprocket. Got some bicycle chains. The blow mold gallery is just increasing. We've got zombie flamingos. We've got actual healthy pink flamingos. 4 alien mascots. We have a choir couple, penguins, snowman. But wait, you gotta see this. Is any workshop really complete? I mean, this was my wish list. This is true crowdsourcing. Is any workshop actually complete without the big mouth Billy Bass? We probably can't use that music because I'm sure it's copyright protected, but the song has to do with Take Me to the River. Whew, it's quite an intro. Today started with stress. Let's get started. Discuss the stress and the challenge right after this. All right, I mentioned stress and disappointment, but it's not all stress and disappointment. Good news, we have a hydraulic unit to control this thing. I got a friend working on setting up a schematic. It will have electric and manual controls. That way you can potentially at least operate one function when you're not sitting in there so you can get in and out of it. I ordered a shift coupler. That was our little pop quiz on our YouTube community host on Facebook. Got a 12-volt battery. Have the aforementioned gear reduction motor. 12-volt DC. Got a couple heavy springs. So that's the plan. And I got 3 bicycle chains. And this is where the misery started. You know, I'm kind of a brute like that, right? I just see this package. I got 3 of them. I just crack it open and start to investigate. I'm like, oh no, the master link. The master link sits in this little compartment right here, one on each side. And I noticed there's only one in it. So I'm like, oh God, Mr. Monster Hands just cracked it open and the link is on the floor somewhere. So I've spent no less than 25 minutes scouring the floor with my glasses, with my spotlight, literally like this, looking under everything. No master link. Then I look at this picture. Did you see what I just saw? It didn't come with the other master link. This one had a half a link and this one was empty. And I look at this box and there's 2. And I look at this box and there's 2. So it wasn't me. I just picked the lucky one without even knowing. So we got to buy a master link. That is what could complicate today's mission. We don't have enough master links. We're never going to get this UFO to spin. But let's discuss theory and take action. Can't win the war, try to win the battle. All right, here's the strategy for today's battle. This is our model UFO. We got that little ring with the bearing. My thought was there's so much grab on that surface, you know, sort of we have this surface where the little steel rings that I made are. We're gonna have to put something to hold the chain from falling. But my thought was, I got 3 of these chains. We're just gonna wrap them around there. So it's just one big sprocket. And see, just like that, you know, it has some grab. I may have to do something, I don't know. We're gonna test it like this. That's where the springs come in. You know, we have our motor here. The chain does fit, I tested that, so that's a good thing. Got a simple mounting pad on there. So I figured that this was just gonna be on a pivot, right? because I know that that's not round. That deflects. That's an oval. I know it. And it has a pointy edge where it comes together. So this motor is going to need to swing with the out of roundness of that. But I think that might also offer it some traction because that egg shape, you'll see it as it loads up the spring tension on this, it's going to naturally come around. Does it have potential to stop in the slowest part of the apex of the curve? Possibly, but hey, it works for the moon and the 7 planets in our solar system. Boomerang, the ellipse. I've been watching too much Neil deGrasse Tyson. 2 heavy-duty springs. We don't know how much spring load we're going to want on this. Actually, we're going to want to pull it away from the chain. So we'll probably set up the bracket on this side, right? And then there's a pivot here, think. That's pulling away as it spins. Now, our solar system has no springs or sprockets because it's magic. It relies precisely on magic. This is actual science. Got it? I think it's about 8 feet around. I mean, we could do the math real quick. You have an 18-inch radius. You have a 36 diameter. What's the circumference of a 36 diameter? But it's actually not 36-inch diameter because it's not perfectly round. Let's just put 3 of these chains together, wrap it around that UFO, see what happens. Maybe you can get away with half a master link just to test. I can't believe it's just my luck to get gypped from half a master link. Look at that. See, when I opened it, I just did this. So naturally, you'd think the master link thusly flieth away. All right. Put on my spectacles. Now, usually these things just, I could see it just clips together. It's an ingenious little design. They're always upgrading these master links. Back in the day, you had some with a little clip. Some of them just pressed together. But this one is actually like a slip fit. Pretty cool. So I don't know if you can see this with my big old monster hands in the way. I can't even hold them. Let's just do it really broadly and generically, right? You got your little pin there. They just index and go clip. They got a little oval thing. It's a cool idea. These hands will never play the piano. I'm lucky I don't have arthritis. I don't, but I think I definitely have dehydration. My hands, they're slow and they hurt a lot. All right, let me get a pair of needle nose pliers. See if we can't clip that together. I don't even want to risk taking a close-up on this because with my luck, I'm going to fly this thing across the shop. Oh, it totally worked. Amazing. This guy is on a lucky streak all of a sudden. Things are changing in my life. Started off stressful. Nope, there we are. You got 2 chains, so that's about 6 feet. I believe they're 36 inches a chain. I mean, they measure them in links, so I don't really know, but let's just see. From the tip of my, to the bottom of my, no, it's about 10 feet. Right, that's touching the ground. I think it's gonna have to be bigger than that. I'm just gonna rough this out up here. It's gonna go on the underside, but I'm gonna have to make some kind of retainer, I'm sure. Yeah, definitely. Oh wow, wait, hold on. It might be right there. Look at that. 2 chains will do it. This is a little bit close. Oh yeah, because this bottom ring is bigger. Yeah, we're gonna have to do, we need to buy a master link. Dang it. Man, why is it always my life? My luck. There's a bike store down the street. But I don't know. Nope. Not gonna be any defeat. No defeat in this dojo. It just might work. It's not gonna work. It just might. It's not. All right, let's focus on the positive. Positive is we got to make a mount for this thing. Let's explore how this is going to land. All right, so this is what we're working with. This ring is on a bearing, and this triangle here, you know, this stays with the ring. The other two are isolated by hinges, so you'll have to have this motor mounted to this. Plenty of room right there. It lines up with this lower ring, right? That's how it spins. And this is the ring that we want to put the chain on. So it's going to need some kind of shelf here to hold it. So if we see how much distance there is right here, I'm going to bring it around. And this is what I was describing right here. See how where the ring comes to its seam? It's much further out. So I don't see that as a deal breaker. See right here how that comes outside of the aluminum. So if you look here, you know, it's a good 5/8, 3/4 of an inch deviation. That's why I thought this motor would be on some kind of a pivot. So as this loosened the chain, you know, the springs would naturally let it go back and forth. I think that's still what we want to do. So let's go ahead. I mean, we could keep this right up tight to that. I think we're going to have to, because that gets really close. All right, well, let's try this. We just might make this with that chain. That would be pretty epic. All right, let's start on the bench by creating the plate and the pivot, because that looks very simple. Like if we had a big bolt with a tube and a plate, we could weld that bolt. Actually, we would drill a hole and we'll weld the nut right there. That way we can access that point. Yeah, I just said yeah. All right, we see what we got. Find out what thread pattern this is. We might have to rethread it. Let's make it. Never a dull moment. From the missing link. Oh, zombie flamingo down. I knew I should have held him up there better. We have to work on that. It's the missing link joke, you know, it gets him every time. Whew. Tough crowd. Oh, plate. We want something very strong. Probably stronger than 1/8 inch. That's what we have sitting right here. Maybe we'll make it out of 1/8 inch. Then we have this, and it has a hole in it already too. Look at that, it's perfect. Amazing. It's got a hole in it and everything. All right, I'm gonna turn this off for 1 second. I'm gonna go find a large bolt. I got the trailer with all the buckets of bolts in there. So I'm gonna get a bolt and a piece of tube and a nut. I'll be right back. Got pretty much everything I needed. I'd like to thank one of the members of our community. Sent us a whole box of these awesome bolts. I'm imagining grade 8 or something even better. And then a series of these little copper bushings that fit it. So I mean, for a pivot, copper bushing is optimal. I have this piece of tube. I think the copper bushing just might fit. It's had a little burr on it. That would be ultimate. No. But there's a little slop here. Yeah, I think. Dang, that's gonna be close. Oh, you know what it is? There's a welded seam in this one. And I have this incredibly heavy business here, which I could use. But I think that this, yeah, bummer. Always a little something, a little more than nothing. Man, is this the disappointment episode or what? We're gonna make this work. First, this is a metric thread. I don't have metric hardware at hand. We're gonna tap it to 1/4 20. I have a 1/4 20 tap. The last time I went to tap with 1/4 20, I just picked up the unit and went to work. And when I put the bolt in, it was a 5/16 bolt. I have no 1/4 20 taps. Isn't that the life? I have another tap and die though. I really treasure these things. I've mentioned that. I've had them for so many years and they do last forever. But the plastic fails. And the pieces fall out every time you open it. It's a brake line flaring kit. Come on, tap and die. Ooh, it's a tap and die set. Every one of them's loose. See, that's what I was saying. That's the trap right there. Especially with a guy like me. And my work table etiquette. Recipe for disaster. Got all these beautiful pieces. All right. Can I even read? 1/4 You know, I did it once this way. Just send it. You could always turn it to 5/16. All right, we're gonna want to get a lock washer on that too. AnchorLube. Yeah, I put that stuff on everything. I tell you, when it's time to bore that hole or cut those threads, you just put a little squirt of that on there. You're in business. I mean, it's just like so satisfying. Look at that. Perfect cut. No heat. Yeah. If this was a fast food commercial, it would be like this. Ask me how I know about fast food commercials. One of my friends, Tommy Maloney, if you're watching, thanks for all the support over the years. He was the famous beer pouring hand in different commercials. Did a lot of Coors Light commercials. I would get a lot of free Coors Light. No, was it Miller Lite? I don't know. One of them, you know, Hollywood, it's all the same. All right, so we're gonna have this plate on the pivot. I'm imagining right now, looking at the trike. Where do you want the hole on the other side? I made 2 of these. Let me look, I'll be right back. All right, I figured out we want to put on just like that. So let's just check this out. Grab a marker. I always drill these holes a little bit big because I'm never the perfectionist when it comes to layout. And I don't mind putting a whole fender washer on there. That's just how I do it. I don't expect you to follow my lead. Just describing how I go through life without driving myself insane with measurements and perfection. I'm just looking. I got my finger on the pulse. Blip. Blip. Drill those oversized. I bet I'm going to come pretty close. You know, just like I always say, with a hand drill and a little AnchorLube, you can do just about anything. Let's take the cap off. Today we started out so strong. So strong. I went and picked up all these awesome things from the post office box. Just so you know, if you're having a hard time, you're not going through this alone. We're all having our own struggles in our own way. Mine just happens to be building this nonsensical UFO. All right, as I said, perfect job every time. That's right. I really can't believe this project's gonna beat me. You know, takes a lot. Takes a lot to humble a guy. I'm up against it today. The forces are working against me. I can feel it. And you know, you got to accept the good with the bad. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to complete the mission today. I can feel a certain impending doom. I don't know why. I don't know what I did to have this fate today. Nothing's working. It's really, really interesting. Love those days when you just come in the shop, set your course, boom, you make it happen, you nail it. Hitting some obstacles. Hardware is too long. I'm gonna have to trim it as I bolt it down. Oh, maybe it's not too long. No, it's fine. It's too long, but I could leave it as is. Hits the case a little bit, but not gonna affect anything. Ooh. All right, we got that locked, we got that locked. Now I need to get this hardware to set. I'm gonna just slice this with the grinder and see if I can't tap it inside that, and maybe that bolt will go in, because there's a little ridge on this one as well. Now let me tell you one thing. If you know copper, like I know copper, that thing is hot. I'm not touching it. See if we can slip it in there. It'd be nice if it did. So this has a little welded seam. I'm gonna try to line up that as I squeeze into place with the seam. Might just have a success. Maybe it's our first success of the day. I don't know. This thing is hot, but as long as I don't get too carried away with holding on to it. There it goes. Now, the question is it all congeal? Is it all gonna make sense? I'm starting to fog up my glasses, getting so excited. Look at that, first success of the day. Every once in a while, it works out. Now, one thing I know, this thing is gonna have to be shimmed up. And we're gonna wanna weld this nut. Can I thread it this way, or is that a lock nut? That's a total lock nut. Let's do this. Let's drill this size hole into that tube, and we'll set the nut in there. That way the lock stays beneath the surface. And we'll just tack weld this on there. This should be adequate. All right, let's bring this over, make some marks, and drill it. I'm really surprised that that worked out. Lucky us. But if that's the case, we only have that much thread in there. That's a pretty good amount. We might open this up, send this tube right through. Let's explore. All right, so here's where it is coming down to the wire. And it's not gonna be long enough. We got that indexing on there. All right, it might work. All right, I know this can get confusing, but here we are. Back to real world mock-ups. We got our plate, our gear. We want our sprocket up here at this level. We want it as close to that as possible. And I'll be, that doesn't just look like a perfect case scenario. I want that nut to fall through an index. Not for any specific reason, except so that the bolt will go through if it needs to. All right, we definitely don't want to heat this up, so just gonna give it a quick tack and let it rest. We don't need any real strength at the moment. Come on now. Don't tell me you changed your dimension so soon. Okay, so that's cool. This is on that. That goes right into place. That looks great. So it's a little bit low, but I think we can work with that. In fact, what we might have to do is bring this sprocket up. Not something I really want to do, because this is really close to the hoop right now. The only thing that'll tell is a hard bolt down on that pivot to see if the hoop does that. If it does, we're gonna have to compensate. But this looks really good. And we got all that swing until it comes out and hits one of these ribs. So that's a huge amount of adjustment. That's awesome. And what I was saying is somewhere in here, the spring will pull on that to give it tension. So here's what we got. We got this much bolt showing. We check that camera. So I mean, if we were to take this, I think we could put a washer under this. Let's just do this. I'm gonna tighten that. I bet that's pretty large. It's bigger than 19 millimeter, which is what I have sitting here. So we're getting right into the thread lock area. Right around here, I think. I can feel it starting to tighten up. So let's just say this. That's definitely locked in. I want to cut this tube with the bushing to come up to the head of that bolt. See what I'm saying? So we're going to want to mark this, drop that in the saw, and we're going to weld this to that. Cut this to size. Let's see what we got here. The thing is, I'm going to tighten this down so I can gauge where that needs to be. And then I'm going to loosen a little bit so it'll swivel. But I'm going to put one washer beneath it. So I think with the squeeze, it's going to offer just a little bit of an improved direction on that gear. And that is really tight. But this was my concern, right? With it this close, is it going to bind? So right there, it comes in and hits. It just pushed it out. So that's the mark right there. So right there, that's the apex of where it can be, which I think will work. You know, so we'll put a stop there so it never comes in closer than that. And I bet I could work with that a little bit with the grinder and just clear it out. Just a touch. So this is cool. But what this is gonna need, I know, is a flange to keep that chain up there. That's gonna be a bit of a task, because I'm gonna want the flange to not just be straight out. The flange has to come out and turn down a little bit so that chain is always received so that it never derails. And also, so it's not so big that it hits this motor cover. Whew, that's where a sprocket would come in. Let's roll this around once or twice more and just really verify it. So yeah, it's furthest away from the sprocket, right around here. And it comes in. So I guess what we want to do is wrap that chain around at its, in its orbit, its apex, its furthest away point. And man, that chain just might do it. And if it doesn't, maybe we can modify that ring, because I would love to just have two chains locked just like that, not two in a little eighth or whatever, and extra master links. So the problem we're going to have is that chain's going to keep falling off unless we create that little flange. So at this point, do I just stress out, or do I tape that's what I do. I tape the heck out of that chain all the way around. Oh, that was pretty cool. It went right to the master link, as it should. Now, how many times is this tape gonna break over the next 5 minutes or so? We're gonna find out. This is gonna be a wrestling match. I could see it already. God bless it. I should just make that thing. How do we do that? Do I make it out of sheet metal? Do I make a million little tabs? That might be the easiest thing. With a million little welds, a million happy little welds. Because when I turn this, the whole chain's gonna wanna. Let's just do it. If we gotta do it caveman style, we will. We're just trying to get an idea here if this is gonna even work out before I commit, because this thing is gonna be a trip, guaranteed. Of course, I can't rotate it because I'll rip the tape. All right, so here's where it is coming down to the wire. And it's not gonna be long enough. We got that indexing on there. Unless there's some weird chink in the chain. Oh, there is a weird chink in the chain. It's losing some steam. All right, it might work. Let's see. We are flat against it right here. I like this. I like that. And then here, it's getting a little bit wonky. That's there. And then it flips. That's the problem. It's like when you put your belt through its loops and it's got a twist somewhere in there. Isn't that fun? You get your belt through all the loops and it's kind of like that. Yeah, we all know, right? And this has got to go like this. There it is. Does it work? Of course not. Of course it's going to be 1 inch too short. We got it. So we can link this. No, it comes out to the exact link. Isn't that my luck? We're like 2 links short of success. I wonder if I pull on that. Is there any give? Ooh, there was a little give. This just might work. Hold on, everyone. I know, this is exciting, right? It's like watching paint dry. Because we know that's going to want to stay there, like this, and that. Ooh, that's so close. That's like chain breaking close. Nope, got to come a few lengths different. Does this all make sense? If everything went as it should all the time, wouldn't life be grand? There'd be a UFO in every garage. I'm gonna go to the bike store, I'm gonna get a couple master links, I'm gonna modify that chain, and then I'm gonna work on making this little flange. You know, you can imagine we're working with something like this. See how that flange always keeps the pulley centered? Well, we don't need a top side, because gravity will do that, but we need to come up with something like this to weld. Chain comes around, we got that, so we just need to index that. We need to index that up onto that ring without messing with this. So maybe it'll be 1 video, maybe it'll be 2. Nobody said it was going to be easy. Come back next time.